You missed a lot.
Stephen A., 3 years ago, you would not talk about the W at this level. Don't do that.
Guys.
Nobody was, Monica.
Guys.
You making Stephen A's point, Monica. Monica, you making Stephen A's point.
Do my job.
Jeez, things got heated between Stephen A. Smith and Monica. So I'm going to break this down from a licensed therapist perspective on what actually happened and who was right and who was wrong, in my opinion. So you guys sit back and we're going to talk about it right now. So I'm going to go ahead and play the full clip, and then I'm going to give my feedback afterwards.
We're talking about them maximizing their great potential. And because we bring that up and talk about what potentially might get in their way, which we do to men all the time, now we got to sit up here and watch every syllable. I resent that, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, so let me, I know we got to go to break. Welcome to the world of being a woman, Stephen A., and how you have to dance about your word choice and you have to please everybody and anybody as you navigate your being. We are talking about the world's greatest
How about being a black man?
Being black.
Hold on 1 second.
Have you?
So this is what I'm saying to y'all, though, and I know we got to go to break, and we didn't necessarily go there, and maybe we should. There are so many layers in this conversation around the way that it's being discussed. When you no. And yes, Shannon, I know y'all are going to say you know, and Stephen A., I know you're going to, you just shared that you have talked about the WNBA on your program too. You guys may not have said everybody, but the prevailing sentiment for folks that are just joining the WNBA and following women's sports is unfair to the women of this league, to your point, who have laid the groundwork for Caitlin Clark to come in and now take it to the next level. That's all I'm saying in these conversations. Kennedy Carter's behavior is not indicative of the entire league. We are still talking about competition where you are allowed to get a little extra elbow in if you are competing and you do it within the parameters of the game. The game is physical. Caitlin is helping to grow the league. These women understand that, but she cannot be babied as a rookie. That's all I'm at.
All right.
Who talks about the WNBA? Who talks about women? Who talk about women's sports more than First Take?
Stephen A., respectfully, with your platform, you could have been doing this 3 years ago if you wanted to.
Wow.
All right, we got to go to you guys.
So did you say
you're my guy, but
who does more than
Stephen
us?
A., I'm talking to you.
Wow.
Don't do that. I'm talking to you about the power that you have.
Okay.
I'm talking to you.
Okay.
All right, let's
got it.
You're my guy, but I'm talking to you.
I got it.
Guys, I really appreciate
you my girl, but you've missed a lot of episodes of First Take. You missed a lot.
Stephen A., 3 years ago, you would not talk about the W at this level. Don't do that.
Guys.
Nobody was, Monica. You making Stephen A's point, Monica. Monica, you making Stephen A's point.
Please let me do my job. Please let me do my job. We've gone for 40 minutes straight. It was a riveting discussion. I have to get into commercial break.
Yo, so that was a lot. Now, she said they've been talking for about 40 minutes. I'm not sure what they was talking about for 40 minutes. There's probably, talking about leading up to this event or this conversation. But I want to make a point in which I feel as if Stephen A. Smith and Monica were both emotionally charged. Now, when I say emotionally charged, I mean things got heated, things were taken personally, right? Things were said. I don't really feel like strictly off of logic and emotion, because it was a lot of emotion that was talked about or expressed, I should say, in this clip. Now, I would say when you talk from strictly emotion, many times the logic window, right? If you're speaking from like anger, you're speaking from hurt, even you could be happy and excited, and logic can go out the window. When it comes down to topics such as like this, I feel like both have valid points, right? Monica had a valid point on like, hey, look, the WNBA wasn't like this some years ago. You know what I mean? And I agree. There's been a lot more attention towards the WNBA, specifically based on these last NCAA championships with Caitlin Clark and some of the other players that were playing in the championship and that are now in the league, right? Because I don't feel as if the WNBA really hasn't gotten that much notoriety since maybe like Lisa Leslie area. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I really feel like even with the LA Sparks at that time, a lot of people more so hyper-focused on them because they were a great team. And Lisa Leslie, with her dunking and all that stuff, it was super entertaining. A lot of folks really tapped in. But now more than ever, yes, the WNBA is getting a lot more notice, right? I feel that Monica was wrong for calling Stephen A. Smith out on a platform he does not own, right? And sometimes I feel as if sometimes when you do talk from emotion, it is, again, it's a lot of layers to it, as she said. Yes, the WNBA has not been getting a lot of notoriety. Stephen A. Smith does not own First Take, nor does he really control the narrative. He's really just at the forefront. Can we all do better at certain things? Absolutely so. Absolutely so. I feel as if he could do better. As men, we can do better when it comes to women's sports. We can do better when it comes to uplifting our women in our community. We can do better. But the single attack on him, I feel like that wasn't necessarily called for, in my opinion. Some time ago, I'm just give you guys a quick story. Some time ago, not some time ago, probably about 2 weeks ago, there was a therapist out there that made a post about, hey, what if all men had a curfew at 9:00, right? Women, what would you do? And a lot of women were like, hey, I walk around with both ear pods in my ear. I would do X, Y, and Z. I'll do all these things. So it came to a point where I commented. I was like, hey, look, like I feel where women are coming from because, my fiance, she tells me all the time, like, hey, like a guy tried to holler at her, was just taking a walk. It is just not even that far, just walking around the neighborhood, right? So I felt that. I was like, hey, look, I feel where you guys coming from. I'm sorry, like those things. Like as a man, that's not what manhood really is. And I don't condone any of that because that's just weird, first and foremost. And it's very disrespectful to women. Some of the comments and feedback I got was like very emotionally charged. It was like, well, you need to do better. You need to do. I'm like, what are we talking? Like, I'm on y'all side. You feel me? Like I am on your side. It's not a matter of, okay, well, and then a lot of people in the comments like, you need to do better. I'm like, okay, I'm letting you know I agree with you guys. And a lot of folks are saying, you need to put on a program, or you need to do this. It's like, yeah, I can. But at the same time, what are the men in your life around you are actually doing, right? That was just kind of like my thought. I know that's a segue from this, but I feel sometimes when we talk about, especially in the Black community, there's always like this hierarchy. And this is leading to my next point where, Stephen A. Smith was like, hey, what about being a Black man? Like, what about the tiptoeing and language in there, right? I feel like in all these capacities, we can all do better, right? We can all do better when it comes down to like, hey, can Black men support Black women more? Absolutely. Can Black women support Black men more? Absolutely. Right. But when we're coming from a standpoint of hurt and strictly emotion, sometimes it becomes a back and forth. It becomes a back and forth. So I just feel as if when things got really emotional, things got really personal. So, and I agree with Stephen A. Smith, not because he's a man, but I agree with him because First Take has covered more segments of the NBA than anybody else. Granted, nobody was really covering the WNBA as much as they are now, right? As much as they are now. But that's a good thing. It's a change, it's a positive, right? It's a good thing that the WNBA is getting the respect they deserve, rightfully so. That's without question. But the other part of this conversation is, going back to the reason why they were even debating and talking was, Caitlin Clark. And I know there's social media, there's been a lot of clips of her getting elbowed and clips of her being pushed and the clips of all these different things of her being fouled and things of that nature. But for some reason, there's a hyper focus on that, right? There's I hear a lot of folks saying like, there's might be this white savior complex, the WNBA has actually been playing the game like this. Why is the hyper focus now since Caitlin Clark is in the is in the league, right? It's kind of like, oh, well, we need to protect her. Y'all, what's up with her teammates? Why are her teammates letting her get fouled? I agree with Monica on this point, right? Basketball, it is a physical sport. It's, I know we may not look at it as a physical sport, but there is there is contact in the sport. It may not be like rugby or hockey or football and nothing like that, but it is a contact sport. That's just the facts, So Monica was right, and in this regard, I would agree with her because she was really giving the playing field like, hey, look, first of all, it wasn't covered. The WNBA was not covered like it is. And also, too, you can't give leeway on a rookie for being in a league and being tested, right? So I like the way she, excuse me, she said that because you can't baby anybody in the league, especially if they're a rookie. So like we're looking at Caitlin Clark, we're like, hey, like why, somebody needs to do something. Somebody needs to come save her because she's being fouled and she's being disrespected. And it's like, that's the game. That's the game. Now, it being WNBA, a lot of folks may not be used to that. But if you look back at other clips of WNBA, you will see that. You'll see that. Now, again, there's a hyper focus on the WNBA. So a lot of folks are nitpicking at it and things of that nature. Folks that don't really, haven't really watched WNBA like that to begin with, right? So a lot of the new people that are watching the WNBA now are nitpicking and saying, oh, well, we need to do this or that. But that's the game. That's just simply the game. So we can't just look at Caitlin Clark just from a standpoint of, oh, well, she needs to be saved, right? So I feel as if right there, there was, Monica was talking and having more of a, I have a more of an understanding where she was coming from there. I'm not going to say like completely everybody understood. I'm just saying for me personally, I understood where she was coming from when she was talking about that. Now, all in all, I feel as if when it comes to men and women, and me specifically working in men's mental health, we do have to do better with understanding each other, because again, I gave my personal example a couple of weeks ago of being understood. I know a lot of stuff, for men and women comes from a hurt place. And when things come from a hurt place, we don't really have, the answer or the solution a lot of times. Not saying all the time, but a lot of times we don't, and we're strictly speaking off of like how we feel. Again, Stephen A. Smith, could he have done more? Absolutely. But to attack him like that, I wouldn't say it's okay, me personally. Now, for Monica, yes, absolutely. Everything you said as far as, her being a rookie in the league and everything like that, of course, valid. Understand that for sure. But I feel as if sometimes when we get into these back and forth and take things personal, things like this come out, now we're like having these conversations around it. And probably much more needed conversations. Again, Monica was leading to like, hey, this is deeper than just what we're talking about too. A deeper level of oppression, a deeper level of things, which, I'm glad that it was brought up and it's bringing up a lot of conversation, which is valid, but also too, to blame one person for that entire situation, I personally don't feel like it's fair. But that's just my opinion. I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think in the comments? What do you guys think about this whole situation, this whole scenario? You guys like, share, subscribe to the channel. Again, my name is Terrence Stewart, licensed therapist. Y'all take care. Peace.